So thank you, Cédric, to be here with us, and I will give you the floor.
Thank you, Samuel. I'm going to cut the sound to avoid any noise, so feel free to sign me if there's a problem. Hello, everybody. So my name is Cédric Brun. I'm the CEO of, and well, I'm going to kick off this SiriusCon, as Samuel said right before. It's the fourth SiriusCon conference that we organize. It's the first one, which is a completely web event. And we are starting for 2 days of highly interesting content and with contribution from many community members. So Obeo is a technology provider and a software vendor of about 50 people. And as Samuel said, we're providing technologies like Accelio, Sirius, and eCore tools, among others. Now let's get started. So when I was a kid, I was highly passionate about science and technology. So rockets, mechanisms, cars, or planes, and of course, at some point, computers and what I could do with computers. I basically discovered computing with this kind of machines. So these are pretty old machines. Basically, you had a computer and you had a basic environment. So if you wanted to do anything, you had to code it. So I was a bit older than 7, and I discovered programming thanks to that. And bam, that was some kind of revelation, because then I realized that I could basically have the power to build anything. You know, for a kid, just a small program is already a huge achievement. And I realized that I could program something which could be useful, and I just had to learn to program, basically. And now in 2018, every company had to become in some way a software company, and many are focusing on building innovation in their process, innovation in their product, and so on. And to do so, they need tools. And we are at an exciting moment for tools, because tools for creating innovation are subject to an important acceleration. And that's what I'm going to focus on for this presentation, which starts the SiriusCon event. So every organization creates tools for its expertise. We need some tools, and it often starts with the tools which have the less frictions. So they're already known within an organization, they're already deployed, and we basically call those tools enterprise software. I'm thinking about spreadsheets, Word document, presentations, and so on. And they indeed have a very low friction. But on the other hand, the information has also very low structure, and the domain itself is implicit. It's run here in the way the document is used, but in no way emerged as something which you can work with explicitly. So this is a macro, and the domain basically emerged as some kind of macro and automation working on the data itself, but the data itself is unstructured. So you probably all know these kind of tools, and they grow to a point. I'm going to mention an example we have and the customers we had, which is an insurance company. And because that's true for every field, even insurance company. As an example, when you work to design a new insurance offer, then you want to focus on what kind of coverage you want to provide for your customers, and you need to assess the impact of this coverage regarding the many existing coverage that you already have in your offer. It's actually highly complex, even if it's not a software which is embedded into a rocket and so on. And this company came to us because this complexity was such that all the information about the contracts, the coverage, and how they combine themselves was just interrelated, and nobody could have everything into a single head. And that's basically the point where every organization realized that they need a tool to get further, and that the tool they have, which are based on Word, Excel, spreadsheets, and whatever, are just not helping enough. And we came up with them with actually a graphical tool so that they could design their insurance contract. And thanks to that, the designing of a new offer for insurance, which was a process which took months, was reduced to a process which took only weeks. And even more important, it was better because the ability to analyze the big picture was provided then. So just to say that it's something which is in every domain. And in the plastic processing domain, we've built graphical modelers. In the robotic systems, in telecom architectures, and in the data transformation, you can find more than 40 public examples of modeling tools built on top of Sirius to handle some kind of expertise and complexity. And when you are on a very competitive market with considerable risks, and then planning science programs which are going to be executed in the next 5 years, if you're building systems which are in charge of the safety of people, well, basically failure is just not an option. So the cost of failure is as such that you really need something which helps you in making the right call and making the right decision. And that's where domain-specific tools shines, because they are enabler of this analysis and this automation, being it trade-offs or being it generation, document generation, code generation, and so on. And also are mediums which enable to share expertise in an organization. And that's definitely tools which are, I would say, desirable because they allow your organization to differentiate and to scale up. And we are going to see many examples of this in the next 2 days with this program, thanks to At-Risk Corporation in Japan, thanks to the CEA in France, and we also have the NASA giving experience report about their use of Sirius, and Thales, and also the banking IBP, which is going to share what kind of gain they had by using domain-specific tools and modelers. So when you realize that you need a tool, you have several options. One is using some kind of generic, unified, off-the-shelf tool. So it's basically when you start to use, let's say, a human modeler, and you wanna use it for your own domain. So I built this chart just to get the idea of what are the different phases as an organization that you have to consider when you adopt a tool. So the first phase, it's a build phase, which is not relevant here because you just buy a tool and you deploy it. But you have to train the teams, and the training effort is right there in red, and it's something which is relevant. And then most of the time, if you want to get more value out of the tool, you need to customize it and to adapt it so that you can capture relevant information for your own analysis, so that you can automate process and so on. And then you have to deploy it. And deploying it means that you have to deploy it in your group, and you have to deploy the next version, and you have to update and so on. And this gives you some kind of business value, right? Which is in the green here. When you decide to build a domain-specific tool, what you are aiming at is higher business value, but then you have to build it. And building it is, well, quite a lot of efforts. Of course, you are gaining on the training because the tool is perfectly fitted to your business. It's speaking with the right concepts and words of your own process. And customization is basically non-existent. And you expect way more business value because of this tool being especially suited to your business. And what we try to execute with Sirius, our vision is that we want to get those gains, but quicker by reducing drastically the effort to build the tool. And also by enabling faster iteration. The whole idea of Sirius being something which you configure and you get results that you can directly see if it's going to fit for your users, your context, and maybe revise your decision. And this idea of iterating fast is important so that you get to the right user experience quicker. So the whole idea is to reduce those costs and get the business value sooner. So let's just show a small video of Sirius. It's very quick, but here comes Sirius. It's basically an integrated solution so that you can first capture your domain. That's what the video is doing here. And then you can start building editors and graphical tools, which are right there on the right, and which are allowing you to manipulate those concepts and to use them and then to automate. So here it's going fast, but it's basically a couple of hours of work. And it's actually the Mindstorm tutorial, which is published on YouTube. And you can just build a graphical tool in a matter of hours, where we needed some weeks before. And thanks to this fast iteration, you can revise the decision and get to a proper user experience sooner. If you want to learn more about Sirius and have a global and then synthetic visions, then just attend the talk from Frederick, which is right after mine. And then you're gonna be able to see more about Sirius. I'm getting back on Thales, which is actually here and involved in the creation of the Sirius technology. So Thales is on a very competitive market. Aeronautic, security, defense. For Thales, as I said before, failure is just not an option. And they develop a strong methodology for system engineering in order to be better compared to their competition. Obeo and Thales are partners since 2007 at the inception of Sirius. And it's a key building block of Capella, which is a system engineering tool powered by this strong methodology. We worked in 2013 to publish the technology as an open source project within Eclipse, enabling then the creation of Capella, the open source project. And what we've seen since then, and especially this year, is a large worldwide adoption of Capella. So we have more than 50 organizations which are already adopted Capella as a system engineering tool. And that's on a market where there are already existing system engineering tools. And the adoption is driven thanks to the fact that it's easier for system engineers to understand the tool, to use it, and to get value out of it. So that's an example, and that's a pretty interesting example. By using those domain-specific concepts, Capella gets adopted easily, and even when on a market which already have competition. And tomorrow, you'll be able to assist to a conference by Thales, which is going to share their 10 years of experience working with Sirius. So it's a pretty unique view because, of course, they started using Sirius and contributing and working with us on Sirius way before Sirius existed as an open source technology. And so I strongly advise you to get this information. So the point is, being graphical and being domain focused brings a better user experience. And in itself, this is adoptions, and you're really aiming at improving the adoption of your tool. It also enables high value because models itself are an asset, and this asset can be used in automation. It can be used in considering trade-offs and in designing, basically. And it's essential in managing complexity. But as I said in the beginning, there is an even more interesting trend. First, teams are more and more globals, and people are more and more used into using web applications and web tools. Furthermore, projects are calling for more and more collaboration among specialists. You need different experts from different domains, each having his area of expertise to build a given project. Because on competitive markets, the time to build a project is shorter than it used to be, and the pressure is higher regarding safety, regarding all these constraints that you have to take into account. So this calls for improvement on process and tools. And these process and tools now are there to ease the collaboration among those specialties. So if we get back at the diagram I showed right before, the chart I showed right before. So this is the current status with Sirius. And we still have, well, these areas which are requiring quite a bit of effort. Deploying a tool within an organization like Thales, and Thales know about that because they did deploy all the Capella tool within the complete organization, takes effort. And this takes effort from a technical point of view, from a version management point of view, and so on. And working on the web support is a way so that we can drastically reduce those efforts. So see, we're kind of at a turning point, or not a turning point, but more like a moment where we'll see acceleration. Because modeling and the web, it's basically a perfect match. You have a tool which is perfectly suited for your domain. You can analyze, you can build on top of it, and you can also deploy it easily and also make sure that it enables collaboration at the organization level and not just at the project level. So the whole idea is 100% in line with Sirius as it is, because it brings faster end-to-end iteration, end-to-end being the idea of the tool up to the deployment and the exploitation of the tool. If you want to see what we've been working on regarding the web area for Sirius this year and what we're working on for the next year, I advise you to go to Stefan's talk, which is tomorrow. He's going to show all the prototypes that have been built and show the use cases in the session modeling tools go up the cloud. So I'm speaking and committed to the long term here. When you design planes, aircraft, or at the level of strategy for a company, so you're definitely thinking for the 10, 20, or even in the case of Airbus and so on, 50 or 70 years. So we are trying to build a platform for the long term. We want a sustainable solution, and such a platform is quite a strong investment, right? And that's where open source is key in this regard. But not just open source. The kind of open source that you get first from the license, of course, you want the freedom to use the technology as you see fit, to use it, embed it into your product, to deploy it into your organization with as less frictions as possible, but also all the other aspects which are actually provided by using the Eclipse Foundation as a platform, as a framework for collaboration, which is IP management, so that you get legal clarity about the provenance of source code. So it's not just a license, it's also who has the copyright. The open governance, which guarantee vendor neutrality, so that anybody can get into the project, get involved, and contribute, and well, change the technology, the infrastructure, so that we can grow the community, and of course the transparency. And transparency is a key aspect, so that all the people can get involved into the project. And that's been important for Obeo since the beginning, and that's the way we build the technologies, and we build this platform in order to get, in the end, a sustainable ecosystem, something which will last for years, decades, and so on. So looking at the community of Sirius and the activity, so it's sometimes pretty hard to get proper metrics into the activity, but I focused on the Sirius forum. So these are some of the numbers that I gathered on the Sirius forum in the last 6 months. In the last 6 months, we had 63 newcomers. And you can see in the dark blue that it's actually almost 20 more than on the same period last year. So we went from a newcomer every 4 days to a newcomer every 3 days, basically. The number of posts that you get on the Eclipse Sirius forum is 4.5 every day as an average. And you can see the acceleration that we had on 2018. On this level of activity. So it's pretty exciting to see all of this. And of course, it's not just developing in the open, and anybody can look at the Bugzillas, look at the team working and fixing it, but also anybody can get involved into the discussions. And Pierre-Charles is going to show tomorrow the roadmap, what have been going on this year, what is considered for next year. And of course, we also have a session at the end of the event to get your feedback and to get your input, I would say, as to what kind of priority you would make, in your opinion. So I declare the event officially started, and I would like to take a minute to thank all the speakers. They are members of this community. They are from all around the world, and they are actually contributing by giving these experience reports, by being part of this event, which helps in getting even more people interested and to include them into this community. And they're basically contributing to this vision in some way. So they are all the speakers that are involved in these 2-day events. And of course, I'd like also to thank all the teams which are organizing this event, and all the other members of the community which are using the technology and contributing by their feedback and so on. So the direction forward is bringing these powerful tools that we have today, which are focused on the domain, which is providing high value, and bringing those everywhere by reducing, again, this friction and enabling a leap in engineering and innovation building. So if I get back to the kid I was, which was passionate about technology, it's obviously something very, very exciting. And the fact that whole community gathers to work on that is even more exciting and source of fulfillment for me. So there's no question whether it's going to happen or not. It's mostly a question of when and what kind of power we have in order to move forward. And in this regard, Obeo is doing its part, but it's the community itself as a whole, which is the capacity. That's something which Mike from the Eclipse Foundation says a lot, and I definitely agree on that. It's really by the involvement of each member and by its contribution that we can move forward. And obviously, you are part of this community. You're here, you're attending to this talk, or you're speaking, or you're basically doing your part. And I'd like to thank you also for sharing this energy.